Metropolitan Gregory, Reverend and Very Reverend Fathers, priests, Pawnees, members of St. George, ACRY officers, members, and distinguished guests, glory be to Jesus Christ.
Glory be to God forever.
I'd like to welcome you to the 75th National ACRY and the 36th National Junior ACRY Convention. I'm pleased to be here with you all. It has been my pleasure to serve on the National Junior Board for the past 6 years. I started as an auditor when my brother was still a board member, and I watched him and his friends graduate. And then I had the Fitzgeralds, and I had Julia, and then they ended up leaving and graduating. And slowly, I worked my way up to president, and I no longer had my friends and my peers to look up to. I watched as the juniors changed and grew, and I watched half the board graduate, leaving many younger members to fill those spaces. And as I am on the way out, I am proud of what we've accomplished over the years, and I know that I'm leaving the board in good hands. I can't wait to see what the future has in store for this organization, and I hope to have a part in the national field again sometime soon in the future.
Okay, Metropolitan Gregory, Very Reverend and Reverend Fathers, Proto-Presbyters, Archons, Pawnees, National Senior and Junior ACRY officers, members, and guests, glory be to Jesus Christ.
Glory be forever.
I don't watch a lot of baseball. I often think this must be one of those things that disappoints my father the most. Of his 6 children, we all enjoy watching different sports. College basketball, football, the Olympics, even got some softball and baseball players out of the mix, but none of us have ever had the desire to watch a baseball game on TV. Until a few weeks ago. As I'm sure you've heard many of us say this weekend, the Little League team from Elizabeth, New Jersey, the Elmora Troopers, were catapulted into the limelight as the Mid-Atlantic champions. We all watched together, rooting on the teams from our hometown, whether we were cities or states apart. And just as anyone who's ever watched their home team lose can attest, it was hard to not be devastated when they lost their second elimination game in Williamsport, striking them out of the competition. But even that sadness was short-lived, especially if you're my dad, who turned that loss into a lesson that he shared in his sermon that Sunday, some points of which I'd like to share with you all now. Sometimes, all it takes is one person to make a difference. We can all think of at least one person in our lives who has made an impact on us. Sometimes it's one small thing that causes ripples. Sometimes it's a small thing that impacts a large group. When Hyro Labrador, the Little League coach, talked to his team after their loss, he let those boys know just how much they had impacted their city. Elizabeth is now seen in the best light because of you guys. When you come from Elizabeth, you tend to walk around with a bit of a chip on your shoulder. But these boys helped us all feel like we could celebrate ourselves more. More importantly, he said 3 simple words to his team. I love you. Not, I love you even though. Not, I still love you. Simply, I love you. How many times do we hear these words? And how many times do we say them to others? As Christians, we're called to love each other. We're called to show the love of Christ in all of our actions. And that's how we make our impact on this world. And our communities, not just those within the walls of our church, individual parishes, but also the community outside of those walls. As Orthodox Christians, we aren't urged to protect our own. We are charged with the Great Commission. As the disciples were told, go ye therefore and teach all nations, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even until the end of the world. Christ is always guiding our steps and will always help us to help others. The final point I want to share with you is remembrance. If you watched the Little League World Series, you probably know that the Elmora Troopers were so named in memory of Tommy Hanratty, a hometown police officer who was killed in the line of duty during a routine traffic stop in the early 90s. Every game, those boys would shout, 4971, Tommy's badge number. Now, I never knew Tommy, some of my older siblings did, and certainly none of these players, max age of 12, did. But his memory has been kept vividly alive by their remembrance. And so we're called to do the same. Every time I see the stuffed cookie monster on my bookshelf, I remember my friend Father Bill George. When we gather together in a bowling tournament, we do so in remembrance of Metropolitan Rescues. Every time the Junior ACRY convenes, it's with the memory of their founder, Bishop John R. Martin, present. Kids who go to camp may not know about Paul Denny Pavlik, Christopher Coe, or John Raddick, but when they see their names on the baseball field or somewhere else around camp, it keeps that memory alive. We have a beautiful tradition in the Orthodox Church of proclaiming eternal memory. Who will keep our memories alive when we're gone? We must strive to live our lives in a way that is worth that remembrance. So as our weekend together draws to a close, I hope that we'll all return to our home parishes and to our everyday lives with the lessons my father pulled away from that coach of a Little League team with you. Hyro didn't coach that team to bring glory or praise to himself. He did it to help a group of boys live out their dreams. And along the way, he inspired a whole community to hold their heads a bit higher. And I can only hope that the reflections of my father sparked your desire to go out into the world and live your lives with a little love and compassion for all others. I'd like to thank Chapter 21 Taylor for hosting a fantastic weekend with the hope that you'll consider hosting another one sometime down the line. You get a little break, don't worry.
That's my husband. That is not his face.
He's like, I'm not making eye contact. I look forward to seeing you all next Memorial Day weekend when Elizabeth will host you for the bowling tournament. And please consider at the sign-up desk, we're going to have a sign-up sheet for people to drive Tim Sue back around, just to make sure, since he hasn't figured out jug handles yet. So, we look forward to seeing you all in Elizabeth.
Got my zipper right here.
Thank you.